Imagine this. What if I told you that Dexter, the same show that was buried 6 feet under after New Blood's divisive finale, somehow clawed its way back from the grave and not only survived, but came back sharper, darker, and more perfect than ever? Yeah, I know what you're thinking. No way. Not Dexter. That franchise was done. But here's the forbidden truth. The Resurrection finale didn't just silence the haters, it flipped the entire conversation. It proved that this story, this character, still has unfinished business, and maybe, just maybe, it always did. So let me ask you, why does a show about a serial killer pretending to be normal feel more human, more alive, than half the so-called prestige dramas on TV right now? Why did Dexter Resurrection pull off the impossible, delivering a finale with a 9.6 IMDb rating, while the New Blood finale sits buried in shame? And here's the real kicker. How did a story about masks, killers, and belonging hit harder on the theme of family than some family dramas do? See, that's the thing nobody wants to admit. Dexter isn't just about blood. It's about belonging. It's about identity. And when you peel back the layers of Resurrection, you start to realize this season wasn't just good TV. It was a confession. A secret note slipped under the door for fans who'd been waiting years for redemption. But before we go too deep, let's talk about the fear we all had. Remember the New Blood finale? Dexter cornered, exposed, and then boom, Harrison pulling the trigger at the end. That was supposed to be closure, right? Instead, it felt like betrayal. Fans were outraged. Petitions flew. The Bay Harbor Butcher deserved better. We deserved better. And the forbidden fear was always this: if the show came back again, would it crash and burn the same way? Would we be let down again? Spoiler alert, we weren't. Dexter Resurrection didn't just dodge that curse. It spit in its face. It doubled down on everything that made Dexter unforgettable: the tension, the twisted morality, the killers that weren't just villains but mirrors. Every episode wasn't just another hunt. It was a question: what kind of monster is Dexter now? And can he ever really change? And you know what? I'll say it. This season felt alive. Every storyline connected like veins under skin, pulsing with secrets. Dexter's trauma and his fractured relationship with his father. Harrison's struggle between darkness and innocence. The killers who wore masks in public, but found family in Priya's twisted circle. Even Charlie, caught between loyalty and morality. These weren't just storylines. They were reflections of the same forbidden question: what mask do you wear when the world won't accept your true face? But here's the problem nobody's talking about. With a season this good, expectations for Season 2 are sky high. The showrunners have resurrected a monster. And monsters need to be fed. Because if Season 2 stumbles, if it fails to match this energy, we could be right back in the grave with New Blood. And that is the terrifying gamble the franchise now faces. But let's not jump too far ahead. We need to break down why Resurrection worked. Why it wasn't just good, but perfect. And trust me, we're going deep. We're talking secrets buried beneath the blood. Risks the writers took that no one else would dare. And why the cast, yes, the cast, might be the single biggest reason this season hit so hard. Before we dig into that forbidden knowledge, though, I need you to do one thing. You've made it this far, which means you're part of the 1% of fans who actually care enough to look beneath the surface. So hit that subscribe button right now, because if Dexter can resurrect himself, so can this channel. And believe me, you don't want to miss what's coming in Season 2 theories. We're going to expose things that the writers don't want you thinking about. Now let's get into it. Let's talk about what made this season different, the storylines. Because this wasn't just Dexter stalking killers with plastic wrap. This was layered. It was thematic. It was a masterclass in how to resurrect a franchise without repeating its mistakes. Take Dexter and Harrison. That relationship was the beating heart of this season. We saw Dexter's trauma with his father reimagined, him desperately trying to break the cycle, to give Harrison a normal life. But can Dexter ever really give anyone a normal life? Can the Bay Harbor Butcher ever truly be a father without passing down his darkness? That's the forbidden tragedy of it. He's trying to build a home on rotten foundations. And then you've got Priya's killer collective. A family of monsters, finally able to be themselves in each other's presence. It's twisted, it's horrifying, and yet you can't look away. Because in a sick way, it's the same thing Dexter wanted. Belonging. Acceptance. Isn't that what we all want? That's the part that keeps me up at night. Maybe the line between Dexter and Priya's family isn't as wide as we want to believe. And don't even get me started on Charlie. The mask she wore with her mother. The hero who wasn't heroic. The moral compass who bent until it broke. That storyline hit hard because it wasn't just about killers. It was about us. About how all of us wear masks, tell lies, pretend to be something we're not just to keep the people we love from seeing the darkness inside. Do you see what I mean? This season wasn't just TV. It was a mirror. A bloody, cracked, distorted mirror. And we're only scratching the surface. Because coming up, we're going to talk about the biggest risks this show took. The moves that could have destroyed it, but instead turned it into a masterpiece. And trust me, some of these risks will shock you. So are you ready to peel back the mask? Now, let's dive into the part nobody wants to admit but everybody secretly knows. Dexter has always been at war with his own writing. Think about it. The original series hooked us, then lost us, then barely dragged itself to an ending that felt more like punishment for the fans than for Dexter himself. New Blood promised redemption, but instead, it delivered disappointment that left the franchise buried under 6 feet of wasted potential. So how did Resurrection pull off the impossible? Why does this season feel like the real revival we were begging for? The answer lies in the secrets it dared to reveal, and the forbidden choices it wasn't afraid to make. Here's the problem most shows face when they come back after being declared dead. They either cling too hard to nostalgia, recycling the same tired beats, or they take such wild risks that they forget who the characters even are. But this season, it threaded a needle sharper than Dexter's knives. It took the darkness we loved, layered in new threats, gave us killers worth fearing, and this is the real kicker. It turned Dexter into a mirror of everything he's always run from: family, belonging, mortality. And admit it, didn't you feel your heart race when Batista finally came face to face with the Bay Harbor Butcher again? That moment wasn't just fan service. It was years of tension detonating in one single scene. But let me throw a curveball at you. What if I told you that Resurrection only worked because of one thing: restraint? Think about it. This season had so many chances to collapse under its own weight. It could have made every killer a cartoon villain. It could have kept Dexter the same old predator, forever circling in shadows. Instead, it forced him to confront his biggest fear: being human. And ironically, that humanity is what made the finale hit like a freight train. Now, I've got to ask you something. Did you feel the same nervous energy I did whenever Harrison was on screen? Because every time Dexter's son smiled, I couldn't help but wonder, is this kid the future savior of the family, or the ticking time bomb that'll destroy it all? Drop your answer in the comments, because I know the fandom is split right down the middle on this one. Some of you think Harrison is the true light that pulled Dexter out of darkness, while others believe he's the next Bay Harbor Butcher in the making. And honestly, both could be true. That's the terrifying beauty of it. But let's circle back to something the showrunners don't want us thinking about: the forbidden knowledge hiding beneath all the action. Why did this season choose now to lean so heavily into family, masks, and belonging? Because secretly, that's what the Dexter story has always been about. Not the kills, not the blood slides, not even the ritual. It's about identity. About pretending to be someone you're not, until one day the mask slips and the truth claws its way out. And let's be real. Don't we all wear masks like that? Haven't you ever sat at a dinner table, smiled politely, and thought, if they only knew what was really going on in my head? That's why Resurrection worked. It didn't just give us another round of Dexter hunting bad guys. It gave us a reflection of ourselves. And let's not forget the risks it took with those killers. Mia, the Gemini duo, Red Schmidt, each of them felt like they deserved their own mini-series, and yet, in classic Dexter fashion, they were snatched away just when we thought we were settling in. At first, I'll admit it felt frustrating. But the brilliance was that every kill, every sudden disappearance, forced us to stay on edge. No storyline felt safe. And isn't that the exact same paranoia Dexter lives with every single day?